Hey everybody, how are you doing today? Uh I always put out the monthly energy update episodes and they always surprise me. It surprises me how spot on they are and how I always think that I'm maybe more advanced than them, higher consciousness, already have them behind me. When I recorded last week's episode, go back and listen to it if you haven't yet. You can do it later, whatever. There were two themes. And one of the themes that came up was like continued divisiveness and polarization for a little bit before we're able to reach unity. But one of the weird aspects of it is that some might be right and left division, right, which we're very much seeing on social media right now. Um, and the other division is that of love and fear, which is on both sides too. And even the people who are maybe happy with how the election turned out, there's still some fear going on, right? And in lots of different topics and issues. And obviously, a ton of fear for those who are upset with the election results, a ton of fear. And I think that what I ask you to do, go back and listen to the episode. I recorded it before the election and it came out, it came out on Wednesday. Oh my gosh. The last week has felt like a year. Anybody else? It came out on Wednesday, but I recorded it before the election and the election results. So I ask you to go back and listen to that and to really feel in to every situation, every conversation, everything that you see and be like, do I get the feeling of love or fear from this person? And we're not judging them. We are all humans. Our fear centers in our brains are going at most times. The amygdala is firing. Um, so there's no judgment if people are having fear of whatever sort. But really try to look at every situation instead of judging the person. Just say, okay, are they speaking out of fear or are they speaking out of love? Are they operating out of fear or are they operating out of love? Is this piece of content or media meant to induce fear or is the like true intention of it to give love? And I will tell you guys something. I had to write an apology post and email last week. And I got so many really nice emails from you guys being like, you don't suck and you don't need to apologize for anything and blah, blah, blah. I get where you're coming from. I have high self-worth. I do have some people pleasing issues, which is actually a selfish thing because I just want everybody to like me. So I have people pleasing issues and I have fix it mode issues. But my intention is deep, deep down for unity and love. And I've posted things, might continue to, so I apologize in advance. I'm going to go into this. I've posted things, shared things that might have led to triggering others or more divisiveness. And that's not the true desire of my heart. So I'm practicing on a minute by minute basis right now, looking back to, okay, are you doing this out of reactivity? Are you doing this out of love? Are you doing this to try to help people see things from a different way? Which honestly, for the most part, is a waste of time right now. Like we're all so dysregulated in our nervous systems right now, whether you're happy or depressed. We're still dysregulated. I've talked to several quote unquote Trumpers in the DMs who are very excited. And the excitement is like a little bit over bubbling. It is a nervous system dysregulation, 100%. And I've talked to several people who think that the Trumpers are terrible people. Uh, and some of you guys that I've talked to don't feel that way. You see things from a higher perspective, but you still voted for Kamala. I also got called out for saying her name incorrectly. I don't watch the news, so I've literally never heard her say her name. I've never heard her introduce herself, so I'm sorry. People pronounce my last name wrong all the time. Cullen. Um, it's Cullen. So yeah, I apologize for that. It's easy for me to say Kamala. That's like how it feels to me, but I think it's Kamala. Kamala sounds better to me. I like that name better. I don't know. Anyways, probably everybody get a lot of flack for that too. I got so called out for saying her name wrong. I swear, I heard Trump say it at some point in some Instagram reel like a long time ago. It was before she even was running for president. I think just when she was VP. And I heard him say Kamala, and I don't have amazing views of Trump. I'm definitely not a Trumper. You guys can listen to past episodes and see my views on everything and probably guess who I voted for. But he, in some Instagram thing months ago, said Kamala. And I was like, he's pronouncing her name wrong. Like, so I apologize. Please don't hate me. I mean, if you want to hate me, you can. That's fine. You can unfollow me. You can tell everybody not to listen to my podcast. I don't care. But where was I getting to with her? Oh, if you voted for her, if you voted for Kamala, you're obviously very, very, very upset right now and nervous system dysregulation. I've talked to a few people in real life who probably are more libertarian like me and who do have calm nervous systems right now, but they haven't been that way 100% of the time over the past week. So we're all humans. We have very sensitive nervous systems, and they're being very much affected right now. So that's something we can all share in common. If you are not affected and your nervous system has been 100% chill over the past week, send me a DM. Tell me your secrets. I want to know. It's wild because I've had moments of really feeling grounded and nice. And those are usually the times when I'm hanging out with my family or I'm in nature or having real nice like I went and did crafts yesterday with one of my good friends, and that was so nice. Like, it was just nice having like a nice breakfast and doing crafts and not talking politics and all that kind of stuff. So I've had pockets of it here, but for the most part, it's been social media has felt like freaking cocaine to me lately. Can anybody resonate? Jesus, like, oh my goodness. It's like you can't stay away. Really, it would be best for all of us to take 1 week off of social media and just shut down the app and just go live in a tent in nature, right? Not possible for everybody, but there we go. Anyways, I'm going to be sharing a lot of nervous system regulation resources in the coming days and weeks, so keep an eye out for that. But I did want to say that is my intention with this episode, and to teach you a little bit about what's going on in our bodies and what's going on with our emotions and in our energy centers with this post-election time. Okay. It's also really important to make sure, and I need to take my own advice with this, but to make sure that we are maybe just like pausing on too much of the conversations that are happening online via text, via email, via social media, and giving each other a break there. And maybe if you need to have conversations, they can be in person or on FaceTime or whatever you need to do, or Zoom, so that we can actually like look at each other and feel each other's energies and see each other as human beings and not these like bot like avatars behind screens that we can't like feel each other's energies and emotions and all of that kind of stuff, right? I've been making the mistake, and that's something that I need to shift. I wanted to play you guys hear me talk about her all the time. I talked about her in last week's podcast episode. One of my mentors, my human design teacher, Jenna Zoe, had a she had a story she did yesterday, and it's not shareable, or else I would have shared it on Instagram. And it was like at 23 hours, so it was getting ready to disappear. I wish she would like have a highlight reel for these things, but she had the most beautiful, it didn't have to do with, it probably, some of the stuff could be taken political. It didn't have to. I feel like I know her heart as much as someone can from an outsider's perspective. And this was a non-political Instagram post. I know so many people, I've talked about this story already with so many people, and it just brought everybody feelings of relief, and I wanted to share it. So I'm going to share it real quick so that you guys can hear it. Hopefully it'll be.
I'm just sitting here thinking about all the things that we thought we had to be for such a long time. Talked ourselves into having to be a certain way and what those things would say about us, those choices, those activities. The day that you finally feel ready to let go of being a person that says this, does that, cares about this, whatever, it's literally like someone came to save you and that person was you. And it is the best feeling in the world to feel like you are becoming closer to sniffing who you really are, and that you are less and less afraid to become that, and that you actually love who that person is rather than having the grip of the persona on you. And this is honestly why I do what I do, because we all deserve this so much. Basically, that you can free yourself, we can free ourselves from the self-imposed shackles that maybe didn't originally come for us, but that we perpetuated for so long. And to do that for yourself, that is really self-love. That is really advocating for the self in you that knows it deserves better, that knows it can live an unlimited life, that knows it can feel free, and knows that it doesn't have to be any of the ways that the world tells us we all have to be similar on, or that we all have to fit in on. And that's really what a limitless life is taking a step off the beaten path. But in the smallest ways is really where it's seated, where it lies. That's where you take out the small roots and you can really, really fly. And so it is important to take the tiny little tweaks in your daily life so seriously, because every time you take a chance to free yourself from a tiny thing, it changes the course of your life.
So I wanted to share that because a lot of things came up for me when I was listening to it. And I urge you also to like pause, rewind, go listen to it again, take notes on it, whatever you need to do. I wish she would create that in a reel that was shareable, but it was just a story and it wouldn't let me share it. And I give total, this is not copyright infringement. I think you're allowed to take anything from Instagram or Facebook. It's like public, but please, this was taken from Jenna Zoe's personal Instagram page. It's JENNAZOE. Please go follow her. Please subscribe to her podcast. Please grab her app. It's so good. I'll put all that in the show notes to give her credit. She's my human design teacher. So what came through for me was like shedding my persona. Even I just said it, like I screwed up. I was like, I'm a libertarian. That's a persona. Right? Me labeling others as Trumpers or liberals or whatever is a persona. And one thing that I truly believe is going to be happening over the next few years is us shedding these personas and stepping into our native frequency, our true soul. And everybody's so different. There's not like these like groups that we're put in, right? Everybody's a incredibly individual, unique human being. We have a lot of things in common, but that's the whole problem with this left versus right. Even y'all will start seeing it, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. We have the left versus right polarization and divisiveness. You're going to start seeing it also with, and I've been guilty of this, and will probably continue to be guilty of it because it makes people think, and like, I've got to listen to my sacral and like what to post or not. But anyways, you're going to start seeing the divisiveness of the people versus the powers that be, or the people versus the government, the people versus the politicians, which is a step away from the people versus the other people, right? It is a step, but it's still divisiveness. And I have to remind myself of this. And then we're also seeing the divisiveness of love and fear. That's really the true polarity. I had a conversation with a friend who was pretty upset last week, and I audioed her, and I was like, we have to like look at this in a different way. Like, the same amount of darkness and light is in me that is in Kamala and is in Trump and any other politicians. We have the same amount of dark and light because that's just how the universe works. There cannot be light without dark. There cannot be dark without light. It's just, I mean, dark is an illusion too. So there is the light. God is the light. And the darkness is here to help us appreciate the light that much more. It's not always a terrible thing. And we all have darkness inside of us. Hashtag shadow work. I talked about this last week, I think, oh my gosh, last week was a blur. Okay. I'm going to get to some emotions and fears and human design stuff here in a second, but this election has been interesting. I have had to practice a lot of the things that I've learned over the past 11 months or so. And I've also screwed up and made mistakes and not followed those teachings, the things that I've learned, basically Jesus's teachings. Love thy neighbor as thyself. We will have a Jesus episode coming up, so bear with me. But the type of teachings that he came here to amplify are part of a Jewish mysticism that's part of human design too. Human design wasn't a thing. It didn't exist in Jesus's time, but the Kabbalah, which is a technology, it's an aspect of Jewish mysticism, was what Jesus was raised on and what he taught. And he taught it in a little bit more basic way, just preaching love and non-judgment and unity and non-divisiveness, which is not what you're seeing from 99% of the Christians out there right now this week, which is unfortunate, and that will improve. I promise you guys it will. It will. It will. So yeah, this election was interesting. One of the personas that I have is that of a libertarian, and I voted that way a lot of the past elections. The last one, 2020, my sacral was really quiet. My sacral center, that gut instinct, it didn't have a yes to anybody. And I should have not voted, but I did anyways. And I deeply regret. I deeply, deeply, deeply regret that. I deeply regret who I voted for. So this time I was like, I'm going to see. I might vote. I might not know. My sacral had a full body yes, so I proceeded. We shall see. Some of it makes sense. Some of it, A lot of it makes non-logical sense. And now I'm starting to see some of my fears come up and also some of my relief come up. It's really interesting. It's a very nuanced, no matter who you are and how this turned out for you, all of these feelings and body sensations are very, very nuanced. The thing that's interesting is that my fear center, which is my spleen, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put this in the show notes. Go grab the Energy Center PDF. I will put the link in the show notes. Go grab it. It's totally free and it explains what I'm talking about. It shows you all of yours. So my fear center, which is the spleen, is defined. So I have my own, I don't really soak up other people's fears. So there's a lot of fear going on right now. And some of the things that people are talking about, it's not mine. So it's like it doesn't trigger me. I can see that it's very much an external fear, somebody else's fear, but I have my own fears. And I'm wrestling with a lot of fear right now. Not a lot of it is affecting my actions or me on a daily basis right now, but it's just sort of that fear of the future and fear of, fear of freaking civil war. Like, I don't want anybody to get assassinated. It is not okay for anybody to die. We are not as humans meant to make the decision to end somebody else's life. That's my view. You might disagree with me. Whatever. Like, if Trump gets assassinated, we could easily go to civil war. So that is a fear of mine. I don't want that. I have a child. I don't want to have war on our own land. I don't want war anywhere. I'm anti-war. That is one of the things that possibly could be a positive in the next few months is less war. But also there could be more war because we could go into a freaking civil war. I don't want that to happen. And I do think that we have power as a human race to come together and be in higher consciousness really soon so that even if some weird external stuff happens that would have led us to civil war, we're of such higher consciousness that it just wouldn't happen anymore. I think we have so much control over our future as individuals, but only if we have the leaps in consciousness that are required to get to that level of thinking and not fighting each other. So I have a lot of fears. Would encourage you to go look at your spleen center to see if it is open or closed. DM me if you have any questions with that. But the fear center is a big thing that's going off for a lot of people. And it would be helpful to know for yourself if you have your own fears or if you easily soak up other fears. It's just very good information to find out. And then you can boundary yourself in the way that you need to. Okay. What's really interesting too is I normally have an open throat and an open ajna center, which means that I'm meant to be very open-minded and I'm not meant to speak my intense opinions. I'm not supposed to have really intense opinions and I'm not supposed to speak them. But the past week, they have been defined and you guys have been seeing that and maybe having to deal with it. So I apologize for that. I wanted to give you some journal prompts. So, I hesitate sharing this. Okay. There's some individuals that live here in Texas that have the whole right versus left polarization. The Zek family, which I love their viewpoint. It's very interesting, good conversation topics, all the things. But they're more of the polarization of the people versus the powers that be, the people versus the politicians, the people versus the media type stuff, which I think is a movement in the right direction, but also still divisiveness. So just if this feels good to you to like look into their work, I'll share their Instagram links in the show notes. But Alec posted this the other day and it was sort of some journal prompts. So if you want to, you could write this down. You could go look on his Instagram and find it. It was from November 8th. He said, describe your daily behaviors if you absolutely knew that you're an incredibly powerful co-creator, that your thoughts directly impact reality, that your life experiences are overwhelmingly dictated by your beliefs, thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. And what if you absolutely knew that no politician will serve and protect you? That hit me. Describe your daily behaviors if you didn't know any of the above. I'm not saying I absolutely know, but do you see what I'm getting at here? It's an interesting self-reflection exercise that if you have time to do it, it could be positive. You could share it with other people. You could just screenshot that part. If you feel like his Instagram page would trigger other people, just screenshot the part of it to send to other people. It's very interesting right now. So many people are just having conversations or taking actions or just being in reactivity mode. And I think it's a true sign of intelligence to be able to have non-biased processing of stuff like this. So many of us, most of us, have not been emotionally intelligent the past week, including me. So there's something else I'm going to share in the show notes, and I debated whether to share this or not. There's a girl, one of my friends sent this to me. It's pretty interesting. There's a girl on YouTube. She has a whole coaching, like community and coaching and stuff. If she's your vibe, go there. If you do lose your vibe, come join my Alchemy membership. It's a little less expensive than hers, but choose the place you want to be. Anyways, she's this Asian girl that's has a really interesting viewpoint. Her name, it's Xiz. Again, I've never heard her say it. She goes under like this brand, Earth Star Academy or something. I don't know. She's very, 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 very woo-woo. However, there's a lot of Christians who listen to this podcast. I think you'll like her viewpoint in a lot of things. If you're not Christian, she still has a lot of good information. She is not Christian herself, but she uses some of the terminology. So if you're a Christian, you'd probably feel comfortable watching it. If you're not a Christian and you're more woo-woo, you'll probably very much enjoy her. So yeah. Anyways, I'm going to put her YouTube video in the show notes. I don't believe everything that she's saying. I don't know if I believe in the devil and demons in the way that she is talking about it. And all of this is very light. It's not fear-based. I know I just said the word devil and demons and you're like, don't be scared to watch it. It's fine. I have a little bit more of a Kabbalistic view of the enemy. Yeah, they call it the opponent. So that's a whole thing. In sharing this YouTube, I just want you guys to know there's some things that I can see could be truth in what she's saying. And then there's some things where I'm like, I don't know if I'm there yet, or I don't know if I'll ever be there. I don't know. So I'm just putting that out there. But she talks a lot about the jump in consciousness that we're about to go through. And it's going to be for everybody. And it really doesn't matter who won the election. I had to sit and have real internal conversations with myself to be like, okay, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? What's my plan? How am I going to feel some semblance of control myself? Control the controllables, like that whole vibe. Which I think part of this new paradigm and this shift and all the things that are going on is us as humans realizing we can't control fucking anything. And that's fucking terrifying. And a lot of people are already realizing that. Anyways, go check her out. Please tell me if I'm saying this wrong. Xi. Tell me. I don't know how she says it. I haven't watched any of her other episodes where she says her names. But that's a thing. I also wanted to talk really quick about Jesus really quick. Okay, I need some coffee. I love Jesus. Jesus is my person. I was raised in the church. I don't have a ton of bad experiences or PTSD. I work with a lot of clients who are Christians but had some deconditioning to work to do from their church upbringing. I had some weird stuff go on in junior high and high school where I went to a friend's pretty fundamentalist church and it was very awkward. They were trying to like get me to come up to be saved when I was already saved, like weird stuff that maybe you can relate to. But I, for the most part, had a good experience. A lot of people that I know didn't. We're all very different based on our history and our upbringing and all that kind of stuff. But I do feel that in the church today, and probably always since Jesus's time, there are some really dark things going on inside of the church, and most Christians are not involved in this, and most aren't even aware of it. And I'm not just talking about like the Vatican and child issues. Like I'm not talking about just that. It's deeper than that. It's some programming. It's some scarcity-based stuff and fear-based stuff. This is why I don't go to church, and I don't judge people who go to church. There are some good ones that have some truth being spoken, and I don't have the time or energy to seek those out right now. And church for our family is like nature and communing with God in that way. But that's why I don't go to church. And I didn't even realize this was happening while I was in church. But after studying Jesus's actual teachings, I see things in a very different way. And I am predicting that one of the things that's going to be happening over the next couple of years is followers of Jesus and Christians and people who are religious are going to be more aware of the dark things that are going on. And I'm not talking about like the really, like, yes, the big things. I think all of that stuff is going to be disclosed soon. But I'm talking about just the little things, the little manipulations and I don't know, like even just growing up learning about sex and how it was meant to be saved for marriage. There is some truth to that for reasons that don't have to do with, I don't know, actual like marriage. It's all about exchanging energy with another human and whether you're ready for that or not. They teach this in Kabbalah. So, and the idea of soulmates and all that kind of stuff, like it's wild. And there was so much fear put around that with me as a child and as an adolescent. And I don't know that I would have made different. I don't know that I would have necessarily like saved myself for marriage, but I would have seen it very differently with a lot of the decisions I made in my 20s. It was sort of like, okay, well, since I already did that, then it's just out the window and it doesn't matter anymore. And I didn't save myself for marriage and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, if I knew the actual energetics behind that quote unquote rule, it wouldn't be a marriage thing. It would be like a love and respect and honoring and energy thing. And the way that I acted in my 20s would have been very different. Anyways, that's just an example of that. There's so many things. To wrap up, this new paradigm, probably need to do a state of the new paradigm episode soon. It's coming in regardless of who's in charge. Trump might not even be our president for the next 4 years. Who knows? He might not. Whatever way it goes, this shift's happening anyways. And it's going to happen faster and it's going to be more beautiful if we as individuals can come together and start existing in love more than we exist in fear and scarcity. And those of us who are spiritual must start putting as a priority our embodiment of love, safety, and neutrality and peace. And I have to do it. I've not been great at it lately. So that is what I have for you. I'm going to put several of these resources in the show notes. Please share this with a friend today. Please, please, please. You have no idea how much you could change somebody's life with them seeing things from a slightly different perspective and turning off their amygdala, their fear brain center, and coming into their body and back into their heart before they react. And I'm doing this too. And y'all are going to see me fuck up in real time. And a lot of y'all call me out on it, and I appreciate it. Let's know that let's just remind each other that we're all human. We're all going through a nervous system dysregulation right now, whether it is depression, fear, excitement, or soaking up the external energies of other people and those feelings that they're having. That's that. That's what I have for you today. I really, the next few days, astrologically, it's Pluto's last stand in Capricorn. If that sounds like another language, don't worry about it. Whatever, you can stop the episode here. But it's going to be a little wonky. And then November 19th, we enter Pluto in Aquarius. It's not going to be an overnight change, but you will feel an energy shift. You might have already felt it now. And I look forward to that. And I'm excited to have real-time conversations with you. If you want to come meet with me every week, we starting November 20th. Yes, Wednesday, November 20th, our alchemy calls, our weekly calls are going to be on Wednesday mornings at 11 a.m. Central Time. Would love to have you. I'll put that link in the show notes as well. And I'll see you guys next week.